let's learn how to do free motion quilting. To start, I like to mark my lines. And the best way to do this is to use a friction pen. They are the bee's knees by far because you can iron off your markings. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna design where I want my stitching to go. Ta-da! First, let's look at the free motion feet that you're going to need. So I'm using a Bernina, and these are what the feet all look like. This one has a little opening in the front, where this one's plastic, and then this one is just a circle all the way around. You can use whatever you feel comfortable with. Today, I am going to use the one that has a little opening in the front so I can still see my needle when it goes down through the fabric. For this project, you're going to absolutely want a stabilizer to go behind your fabric. This will help keep the fabric from getting bubbly and wonky while you're stitching. We are using a tear and wash stabilizer. It's an embroidery stabilizer. It's great because you can rip it out or you can even wash it away. Now that I have my chosen foot in, I am ready to go. So I'm going to bring my foot down and I'm going to lower my needle to right where I want my first starting stitch to go. And I'm going to pull up my needle so that it connects with my thread. Next thing I want to do is I want to take my bobbin thread and get it up through the top. So I will take my top thread, swoop it underneath my foot, and it will grab my bobbin thread just like that to pull it to the front. The reason I want to do this is I don't want my bobbin thread getting stitched in with my back. It will just look real wonky and be a total pain in the butt to deal with later. So always bring your bobbin up to the front. Then to start, we're gonna put our needle back down to where we wanna start. I don't have a stitch regulator on my machine and many people don't. So you just kind of have to go ahead and do this enough times that you get your stitches down. If you're quilting, I recommend really trying hard to regulate your stitches. For this project here, I plan to go over top of my stitching, so I'm not going to pay attention to how long or how short my stitches are because it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go back over them multiple times later on, so it's kind of like a thread painting experience. The other thing to note is that sometimes for free motion quilting, you should put your feed dogs down and sometimes you can leave them up. Right now, I have left mine up and it gives me just a little bit more stability. And I feel that often when I do any free motion quilting, I find it just easier to leave my feed dogs up unless it's very thick quilt. If you're going to use free motion to quilt your quilt, then you're going to want to get free motion gloves. These are gloves that you can find in your local quilt shop, and they give you traction while you're quilting to move your fabric around. If you can't find any, or you want something a little bit more colorful and funky, you can get really cheap garden gloves. Cut the tips of the pointer, the middle, and the thumb off, and voila, you have your very own free motion quilting gloves. Now that we got to the end, what we're gonna do is pull our thread out and cut our tails long because eventually we're going to flip this over and bring all of our threads to the back. Now that I have my stitching done, as you can see, I stitch over my lines multiple times to hide any imperfections in my stitch length. And what we're going to do now is we need to move our threads to the back. I personally like to use these self-threading needles. As you can see, they have a little crown on the top like a queen. And what you do is you take your thread and you just pop it right onto the head of your needle, and then you stick your needle down through your spot and pull your thread to the back. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. once you get it to the back, you're going to go ahead and tie your threads into a knot. Then clip, clip, clip your threads. And bada bing, bada boom. Do that to the rest. And here it is. You can see my knots on the back, but this is my free motion tulip. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to come up with. Happy sewing!